Hello everybody, welcome to this short instructional video which is called Writing and Other Media. When Aristotle proposed the three rhetorical modes of pathos, ethos, and logos, he was referring primarily to speech rather than written communication. And indeed, while persuasive texts from the Ten Commandments to the Declaration of Independence to Darwin's Origin of Species have played an enormously impactful role in the development of human civilization, persuasive discourse in other media has always been involved in shaping public opinion and influencing public behavior. Persuasive oratory was particularly important to Aristotle in ancient Greece, but Greek sculpture, Greek architecture, Greek poetry, and Greek philosophical discourse also served the persuasive function of espousing the ideals of Greek society. Similarly, in our day, we are surrounded by persuasive messages that take many forms, from the more to less obvious. On the more obvious side of the scale, there are advertisements in multiple media, from TV ads to online pop-up ads to billboards and magazine ads. There are patriotic songs, political campaign speeches, partisan news outlets, and protest demonstrations, all of which more or less explicitly announce their persuasive agenda. Other multimedia content that we encounter on the internet, hear on the radio, or see in movies and TV may communicate more subtle persuasive messages, promoting more abstract values, behaviors, and attitudes. There is no question that a critical competency for negotiating human reality is a familiarity with the workings of persuasion across different expressive media. Thinking about how these media employ techniques of persuasion can help you to both insulate yourself to some extent from the persuasive force of these messages, and also allow you to manipulate these techniques yourself for the purposes of advancing your own ideals and spreading your own messages. Throughout this class, we've used the word writing to refer specifically to the act of generating strings of complete sentences, sometimes called alphabetic or textual writing. But the word has a wider connotation as well, since people write music, they write computer code, and they write mathematical formulas, none of which involve strings of sentences. Writing as we've been practicing it in this class is actually part of a wider skill that we might think of as composition, the act of bringing different elements together into a unified whole, a process that can apply to writing a persuasive article, developing a website, composing a symphony, painting a picture, or planning out a PowerPoint presentation. Thinking about expressing ourselves in different media can help us to appreciate the different rhetorical strengths and weaknesses of various modes of communication, and it can also help us to recognize the overarching principles that inform any act of communication. The word multimedia encompasses a vast and open-ended range of expressive modalities, from speaking, writing, singing, dancing, and gesturing, to sculpture, theater, digital video, poetry, fashion design, interior decoration, and computer programming. Mastering any one of these forms of expression involves learning the specific skills and tools associated with each modality. At the same time, many of the skills you are developing in the medium of alphabetical writing can enhance your ability to communicate effectively in any context. This video includes 5 writing skills that can transfer readily into composition in other media. Practicing these strategies in other media can also help you to appreciate their relevance to textual writing as well. Number 1, think about your audience. Any act of communication, whether through some medium or in the immediate situation of face-to-face communication, begins with an acknowledgement of the other, the person you want to communicate with. When we are talking to someone face-to-face, we make a million subconscious decisions that adapt the way we communicate to the psychological nuances of the situation. We read the room and adjust our presentation accordingly. When I am composing a message in any medium, however, my audience is likely not present when I am doing the composing, unless my medium is improv comedy. For the most part, thinking about who my audience is and how they will respond to my composition requires a deliberate act of imagination. While self-expression can take many forms that require no engagement with other people, any act of communication or persuasion, if it is to be effective, has to meet my audience where they are and appeal to their sympathies. A useful first step for communicating any message in any medium, therefore, is to visualize your ideal audience members, your target demographic, whether it is tweens at risk of developing a vaping habit, suburban voters, a jury of your defendant's peers, or the editorial board of a professional journal. If you keep this population in the front of your mind, The opinions and affinities of your ideal audience can help you identify communication strategies in any medium that are likely to appeal to the people you want to appeal to. 2. Know what you want to say and work so that every part of your composition supports that key message. We have talked about the sense in which a well-written essay has a compact structure, where every part is related to an overarching whole. Any given sentence in this essay's body paragraph works to support the paragraph's topic sentence, and every topic sentence works to support the thesis statement, so that every part contributes to a cumulative effect. A similar single-mindedness informs persuasive communication in any medium. In a 15-second insurance ad, you can be sure that hundreds of hours of creative work went into making sure that every element in the composition, from the bass line of the jingle, to the hairstyles of the actors, to the color tone of the background, to the font of the logo, and every other imaginable nuance, has been rigorously engineered to support the ad's thesis, which is usually "this brand is fun and memorable," with a cohesion that resembles the internal structure of an academic research paper. No matter what medium you're working in, the clearer you are about your thesis, the easier it will be to ensure that every slide of your presentation, every word in your song, every component of your infographic, or every pixel of your digital animation contributes to a unified, persuasive impact. 3. Visualize the space and how you intend to fill it up. Any medium begins with a certain blank space. If you are writing a research paper, it is the number of pages that the assignment requires. If you're writing a play, it's 2 hours of stage time that you have to fill up with people doing things. A painter starts with a blank canvas, a sculptor starts with a big rock, and an advertiser starts off with 30 seconds of airtime. For all these creative personnel, the first step in their process involves scoping out this blank space, surveying the territory, and imagining possibilities for how it might be populated. In many cases, one of the first principles for orienting yourself in this kind of blank space is to start by mentally fencing off the divisions between the beginning, the middle, and the end. We have talked about the importance of this three-part structure in reference to writing, but it applies to any medium that takes place in time, like movies, radio commercials, comic strips, or music, as well as in different ways to more static forms of self-expression, such as graffiti, urban design, and photography. In any medium, it's important to begin by thinking about how I'm going to get my audience to pay attention, what I want them to pay attention to, and what thoughts I want to leave them with after they are done engaging with my content. It is also useful to think about the proportions of these different pieces, and even how these big chunks might be further divided into proportional subunits. In writing, this mostly involves thinking about the numbers and sizes of my paragraphs, even before I know exactly what the paragraphs will be about. And the same pre-planning can help you start to chart out the verses of a song, the layout of a website, or the action of a story. 4. Take time to brainstorm, draft, and revise. Like many writing classes, this class emphasizes the value of using a process approach for developing writing projects through various stages, giving ideas time and room to grow into sentences and paragraphs, and then continuing to reshape and remix the elements as the complete piece of writing comes gradually into focus. In writing classes, this is called the writing process, but it's really the creative process, and it reflects a mindset that applies to the creation of anything, from a new widget to an idea for a tech startup to planning a birthday party. While bursts of inspiration sometimes come all at once, people who work in any medium know that even inspired ideas benefit from being given time to grow, and also from being pruned, grafted, transplanted, and genetically modified. The creative process that we have been discussing and practicing in this class can apply fruitfully to idea-generating work in any field or any medium. Whenever you are developing any idea for anything, begin by thinking open-endedly of different possibilities, include other people and other perspectives in the discussion, identify the most interesting ideas and experiment with different ways of tying them together, draft out a plan, bring your ideas into shape, and always be willing to go back with a critical eye to make changes, to respond to feedback, and to use one project as a jumping off point for the next one. And number 5, use writing as part of your process. Not only can the skills you've been practicing as a writer help you to create content in other media, writing itself can also be an invaluable tool on the workbench of any kind of content creator. As we've been saying throughout this class, writing is not only a mode of communication with other people, it can also be a powerful medium for communicating with yourself. The cognitive process of generating sentences puts different parts of your brain into contact with one another in ways that can, and often do, provoke moments of insight, churn up non-thematized subthoughts and render them into verbal propositions, reveal new analogies and associations, execute creative leaps of logic, expose unasked questions, and illuminate unexplored avenues of inquiry. Whenever you're trying to come up with ideas for anything, therefore, a 20-minute free write, or even better, a consistently updated journal, can help give your mind a structured space to think its thoughts. That is why so many artists and scientists keep notebooks. Whether you are an influencer trying to think of cool new ideas to differentiate your content, a researcher trying to present your data in a convincing journal article, or a business executive trying to think through the details of a new marketing campaign, the power of writing can help you both to consolidate your ideas and to optimize your creative potential.